Okay, I decided that for videos for Sophia's markup, I would do a video just easier to explain. So the first thing we're looking at here is her soul view. This is from September. And what I, to help you understand what happens at the solar view when a horse has rotates. This is the right front. Um, there was no determination by the veterinarian on how much she rotated, but it looks like it was about 12 degrees of rotation from the x-rays. Again, you can see, we'll see, I think I'll show you that later on. But to focus on the, I've highlighted in pink here, try to show you that white line, and obviously the white line continues all the way around, right? The white line is a connection, just to remind you, the connection between the hoof capsule and the sole from the internal foot down. Above the sole is the connection, the lamina connection. So your insensitive and sensitive lamina connections. So I'm just focusing though on the toe. That's certainly where she has um, uh, most of the separation has happened. So this was back in March of 2021. The event happened about May, and then throughout that time, she had some rotation. So here we see, I mean, if we look at her sole, I don't know if you can see my pointer there. You see there? Yep. So if we're looking at our sole view here, we see in this trim, there was a lot of exfoliating of the sole. I did more of a trim this time than I have previously. Just kind of wanted to get her out of that pain cycle. She's been showing up like 95% sound. Her right front is still um, slightly off, but really very active, running, carrying on like she used to be. You can see in here, if I switch to this before I get to that white line, um, that all that is kind of the bruising, the trauma of the rotation, where when the internal foot coffin bone rotated, internal foot comes with it, and now all of a sudden you have way less distance between the sole and the coffin bone, and definitely some bruising and um, uh, some trauma to that, and that would be, very sore. So her white line back up here on the March is quite thin. And then we can see I zoomed in here, it got a little bit dirty. She put her foot down, understandably so. And then when I lifted it up, back up, it was a little bit dirty. But you can see how stretched now her white line is. And that makes sense. When she rotated, the connection between the sole and actually more importantly, between the lamina, the sensitive and insensitive, was compromised. There would have been some, loss of that connection. And then, it makes sense that the sole and the capsule also lost some of that connection. And we see this as this very stretched white line that she has now. The actual sole part doesn't look too bad. She exfoliated quite a bit of sole. The frog is, I mean, it's um, enclosed all the time with dental impression material. Still healthy. There was no thrush. I don't see any infection. I just see the results of the traumatic event that happened. So the trim was really about taking her toe back, and I just took it through a little bit of the white line, but really just try to remove the leverage of the hard outer capsule and just see how she does, and then return to a trim more frequently instead of doing a really aggressive trim, and that she ends up being sore. So if we look at her right front, this is a right front lateral view. We see this is April 2020, so this is over a year ago. We see here February of this year, 2021, August 2021. She is standing funny, so that's why we really have to kind of have an open mind, because it's very hard to get the exact same angle. So there's certain things that you can look at. but clearly you can see this is a sound capsule. It's in fairly good shape. It still had a little bit of folding that took place. In February, she had a little bit more, but was still sound. And then this is August, so May, June, July. That's 3 months after the laminitic event and founder happened. And you can see how she almost has a can look to the top part of her capsule, and how much her tubules, how much she has become underrun. And I'll explain that more looking at pictures. So this angle is looking a little bit more to the front, which isn't great, but this one in September 2021 is actually looking more at let me add another layer here, a side view, but I wanted to spend some time on this to explain what's going on. So when she has, if I jump to this guy right here, when she rotated, all right, this is from Linda Harris's work and tack trimming. So what she did here was she's showing an outline of a healthy capsule, and the pink is the internal foot with the collateral cartilages included. The white is the coffin bone. So we see the coffin bone is lined up with the dorsal wall. So when in this case this horse became underrun, and I would, with this picture, that she's had some rotation, and then this one is more underrun but more rotation, or vice versa, rotated underrun. um, the bottom line is that the foot ends up folding if you look at the internal foot, not the pink line, because that's where it should be. The pink, you look at the internal foot, and the actual top part of the foot is in a smaller space, and that's that folding that happens. So what do we see on the capsule? We see in this region, we see how this is like in a smaller space. Uh, like call it like it's not truly a can foot, but it's heading towards, potentially could head towards a can foot. Okay, so now what we want to zoom in on looking at, this is the new, that pink line right there. That's the new capsule growing in with the change in position of the internal hoof. Okay, this part, right, is all, I call it the kind of the crappy hoof. That's the hoof that had the trauma to it, the laminitic event, the founder, and we can't repair that and get it back onto the lamina. But what we can do is we have to stop that kind of crappy capsule from causing the new tubules that are growing in here to stop from compromising those. So the biggest way we can do that is we need to take the leverage off. The leverage has to stay off of this capsule so that it doesn't draw these new tubules into that position. You don't want them to follow in that position. And this is again, from Linda Harris's work. Um, and we see full recovery with horses that um, have this type of event happen with them. Okay. So you can really see, I'll just take that off. You can really see this capsule and where it is, there's not a good connection anymore. So she needs support until this new connection grows whoops, if I can grows all the way out, right? And then she won't need that support anymore. How are they doing that right now? They're casting her. And there's a video I made on how to do that if this had happened to your horse. Okay, whoops, I want to do that. Okay, I'll just actually move on to another picture. So this one is her right front medial. I'll zoom in. And we're looking here at um, March 2021. This is all done for this year up here, March 2021. July, so this was actually after um, a month or so after the laminitic event, but it wasn't known. She was diagnosed with some other issues, and you can still see she had some connection, and I don't know whether she had actually rotated at this point, might have a little bit, but then by August she had, and you can see the difference in the carriage of the capsule, and you can really see it in from August to September. And at this point, nothing had been done with the capsule. It was about managing her pain and getting her sound. So in this picture of September 2021, she is sound, 90, 95, 99%. I do have some video of that. But you can really see how that capsule, that kind of crappy capsule, I'll do a markup here, right? She's joined here. The lamina is connected with the internal foot. You can see there's kind of a couple of bumps in there. That little bump there may be from leverage of the capsule being too long, because it was long before I did this trim. So in this trim, you can't be as aggressive as you would be with, an uncompromised or a foot that is in 100, like really good connections. This So I really worked on leverage to the white line or a little bit into the white line. I did have a little bit of space, but she was standing on the mat funny, but I left a little wee bit of space here to take that leverage off of that capsule. And again, the idea is that you want to grow a new capsule. You have to forget about this. It doesn't mean you remove it because it's still supporting her. Whoops, I didn't do that very well. But you need to focus on growing new healthy tubules that have a good connection with her internal foot. Okay. So then we move to the heel. So we have a heel view. Let me zoom in. Our heel picture. Okay. Um, So this was in February 2021. She still had some things. She didn't have a true frog stay. She was starting to. She was still underrun, had some underrun natures, but sound and it was in the process of being repaired. Now this guy's a little bit dark, right over the here. I'm right over here, but you can really see this is July. And I'm actually going to zoom more into this because I want you to see this. This is this stretched periopal. So if you look here, so she has laminitis for sure and is probably rotated at this point. But you can see, how thick she stretched her periopal, the depth of it, I should say, and it would have been thick too. It would have thickened. Where back here, I mean, she still had some, but we had it more in control. Periopal. Okay, and this is a response. The horse responds to the rotation and kind of, it's its way to glue things together, to hold things together. So now in correcting this, if the periopal's holding that capsule in that folded position, underrun position, you need to remove it, but you have to remove it carefully because it's supporting the hook. So in this case, actually, one thing that's also really cool is that, let me delete those, is to look at her capsule kind of let go, right? And it even flared out more on this side. And where you can see she's more upright here and upright here. That's just because that part of the capsule is, there's lamina connection. And it looks like all of her lamina was affected by this event. But look at how together it is. And this is September. This is because of the casting. Whoops, I don't want to go like that. But you can really see on her lateral side, kind of, you get the idea. You can see how that casting is really holding her foot together, or shoeing, whatever you want to do. And I rasped instead of cutting all that periopal off to try and help her now unfold. That's what we want to happen. So. Okay, let's move on to this is again, Linda Harris does some really great graphical, yes, it can be bothersome to it, but it really gives us a good picture of what's happening. So in this case, she's showing in this bottom one here. Let me add a layer here. I mean, this is kind of what's happened, right? It rotated here, and then it folded. It kind of the foot folded. Okay, so we need to unfold it and keep the capsule in line. You can see how if here's where the internal foot is now. Now this is an exaggeration here, but if the she did not rotate like that. If the internal foot is like this, that's where the new capsule is going to grow. But if you have a whole bunch of leverage on the front of the capsule, the dorsal, actually toe quarters, toe quarters, heel, that it's going to cause as these tubules try to grow in following the new internal hoof, they're going to be pulled away. So we don't want that. We want to let the foot fix itself. We just need to keep the leverage off. Hey, here's another. I already talked about this example um, earlier. So just some video. Some of this is um, it's hard to watch, but I tell you, everything was done humanly possible to help this horse by these owners. So, and in fact, it's pretty phenomenal. Red lighting and um, magnetic therapy, and for her muscles, and working day and night. So, but I want you to see. So this is her walking before February 2021, and I have some slow motion, but I'm just actually going to speed through because this is May and this is after the laminitic event. Okay, you see her, she's pretty ouchy. Well, that's not a very good shot, but certainly when she got on the stone, she was pretty sore. You see her holding her tail. We don't see that anymore, by the way. It's just kind of how she adapted. Now, this is really, I think she had done the rotation at this point, and this is when she had um, quite a bit of difficulty. Um, and this was, I think, the second or third time the vet was called after this. The veterinarian was involved with this throughout the whole process. So she's pretty sore, and there's the x-rays. That is the, looks like that's the left foot. So let's see, I thought the front, they both front rotated. Yes, so that's the one that I did the markup on. So you can see it's got, let me add, I can't really do markups on videos, but I'll use my cursor here. No measurement was done, but again, this looks like about a 12-degree rotation. You can see she doesn't have much between that tip of the coffin bone and her sole, and that's where you see that bruising, that trauma that happened in that region when you go back and look at her sole. So you can kind of connect these pictures together. But then watch. So this is 9 days after the casts were applied, after she got the diagnosis, um, and um, had a direction to go in and how to help her. This is 9 days after the cast. So you look at the difference between that previous picture, video, and now, right? There's a much freer walking. She still got her tail up. She's still kind of compensating, but definitely more willing to go forward. It's quite nice. And this is 11 days. So she's gone turnout now in a controlled, you can see this just a sand paddock for now. The hope is that she'll be able to be normal and out in pasture someday. So this one's not great because she's um, this is 4 weeks after double casting. There's another picture that follows. She's in the barn. There's a hesitation, but I don't know whether she's looking at me or what she's doing. So it does look like she's like, but watch her here. Okay, Tail's a little more relaxed. She's freely moving. They have massage therapy done with her. They say she is really looking, her muscles are relaxed, much better improvement. And then this was, look at this. So a little bit still off on the right front. It's just a little bit more um, rotation. Okay, so that's it for Sophia. Some really good results and very hopeful on her making a full recovery.